Hello and welcome to the June 2015 prep paper. Can I just say this isn't the actual June 2015 paper, which I've said in my other videos. It's the prep paper, but it's the 2015 data sheet that you'll be using. This is question 4. This is about savings account. Now this seems to be a little bit more difficult than the other questions. Okay, so we just need to look at this. It says the Sway Credit Union has a number of different savings account. So this is an account name and this is the rate of interest. You have to look at the paid annually. That means after a year. 1.08 paid every 6 months. This is every 3 months and this is paid annually. Annually means after a year, so that's 12 months. So let's have a look at how we approach this problem. Here it says Neil deposits £1,560 in the Woodland Saver. So the Woodland Saver account for 18 months. It earns compound interest at the rate of 1.8 paid every 6 months. Okay, so what we do so it's every 6 months. So we put for the first 6 months, the starting value is what he's deposited, what is actually put into the account. So it's £1,560. Now the interest is at 1.8%. Now remember, when we see percent here, we automatically, so we've got £1,560, okay, times 1.8% means out of 100, divided by 100. Let's see what this is. So I'll put this into my calculator. Times 1.08%, which equals, let's have a look at this, 16.848. Because we are talking about money, we are going to round this off to 2 decimal places. So that will be 16.84. That's £16.84. Sorry, 85 pence. Because remember, when we round it off, you look at this number here. If it's 5 or greater, you increase this by 1. If it's less than 5, then this stays the same. So here's your answer here. Okay, and the next step is then you bring your deposited money, which was 1560 plus the interest, which is £16.85. You add them together and you get the final value of £1,576.85p, and that's the value here. So in 6 months we have earned an interest of £16.85, and at the end of the 6 months we are left with £1,576.85. Now the beginning of the second 6 months, we bring this one down here. So we start off these 6 months with the value that we got here. So here you have to find out the interest. Remember, it's going to be 1.08% times this value here. Once you find this out, you add the interest onto the starting value to get your final value. This one goes all the way down here, and then you end up with your final value after 18 months, because remember, that's 18 months. Okay, try this, pause, then release the pause. Okay, look at the working out here for the second one here. After the second 6 months, I've worked it out here exactly the same as here. Make sure you find out the 1.08% and then you add it on to the value that was the starting value. Now, in compound interest, you should realize that the interest changes all the time. Now, if they ask you for simple interest of 1.08, that simple interest would only be on the starting figure. Okay, so that's one thing you have to remember. So compound interest, the interest increases as there's more value, as there's more starting value. Okay, so remember that. Hopefully they will ask you about compound interest, but look at simple interest as well. Okay, let's look at the last question here. Sean deposits 2,150 in the forest saver. The forest saver is paid annually. So that means every 12 months, every year, for 3 years. So we do it 3 times here. It earns compound interest of 2.29 paid annually. So again, we start, remember, because it's annually for 3 years, it's first, second, third year. That's your starting value. So we times this by 2.29%, which is over 100, to get the value. We're following the same procedure as this one. Have a go. Release the pause and see if you've done it correct. If you haven't, go back to this example here and see what I've done there. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so I hope you got this answer here. Okay, and I've just followed the same procedure as I've done here, but remember we've got different interest rates, and this is for 3 years. Okay, it's paid annually. Now, just something that I've forgotten, which is this one. It says calculate the total interest which Neil receives as a percentage of the value he invested. Okay, so what does that mean? So calculate the total interest. So this is telling us the total interest, which will be this. Okay, so I'm going to add all that up, and that comes to £51.09. Okay, so that is the total interest. I've just added all these up. Okay, the total interest, that's the interest column. Okay, which he receives as a percentage of 1,560. So that's the interest he earns over his money, which is 1,560. Okay, and because it says as a percentage, we times by 100. And that will give us 3.28%. Okay. Right, okay, now these are all yours, okay? Question 3 and question 4. I'm not going to read anything. I want you to suss this out yourself. Please read it. Follow my example of the previous one. Pause the video. Do it yourself, please. And then release the pause and see if your answer matches mine. Okay, welcome back. If you look at the answers, I hope your answers match this. Now, if you look at this one, you might be wondering, oh, you know, this interest rate hasn't changed. Well, actually, because we rounded it off to 2 decimal places, it did change, but it was the figures here very, very slightly. Okay, so that's why when we rounded it off, it looks as if it hasn't changed. It's changed very, very slightly because remember the interest is 0.1%, which is very, very minute. However, it does go up after 3 years very slightly. Okay, the next one, okay, make sure that you got the right answers. If your answers do not match my answers, please go back to the previous video where I've gone through this in greater detail. And follow this and come back and make sure that you get these questions correct.